so morning again. So today is supposed to be a Csec review. When we're doing the Csec, we were introduced to usage 1 and usage 2 activities. So we're just going to go back through some of these activities here. And at the end of it, when you're able to, with your gadget, you can just log into the Google Classroom platform and do the Nearpad task and the Google Form activity, which would assign you a grade. So I'm in the process of opening up the slide, because the slide will detail for us some of those objectives that we really want to be able to accomplish today. Okay. All right, we'll wait now the slide come up, please. It's still slowly coming up. So those are objectives today. We want to recall at least 5 punctuation marks and their usage, cite at least 5 reasons for using capital letters, read a paragraph, then identify correct errors of punctuation and capitalization. And in the last couple of minutes, we want to be able to discuss at least 3 of the possible errors that exist in usage 1, identify errors in 10 items set on usage 1, and examine errors that were ignored to correct them, recall what usage 2 detail entails, and identify the errors that are embedded in 10 sentences. So those are what we hope to accomplish for today. So let me just pull up the presentation section so we can just go into the actual lesson. We have just about 28 minutes at our disposal. So there are some activities that I'm not going to be able to just do as comfortably as I would have liked because of the late start up. So as it loads for us, what are some of the punctuation marks that you can remember? Some of the end marks that you remember doing? Can you name any, Patrick? Any of the end marks that you remember doing?
Full stop.
Mm-hmm. Right. And if you're looking at the slide, I'm sure you're seeing some of them there. You're seeing capitalization, and we use capitalization. Just a quick review. We are, you know, from we're in primary school, we have been told always start a sentence with a capital letter. And if we have a proper noun, and that means we're talking about a person's name, the name of an animal, the name of a place, the name of a specific day in the year or months, we always put capital letters there. And we always remember too that we capitalize I. That's the only thing we capitalize if we see it in the middle of a sentence, apart from a proper noun. So there we have it over on this side. When do we use capital letter? To start a sentence. The letter I, days and months, right? Names of places, people, animal, and things. We capitalize when we're using abbreviation or acronyms, right? And that's just about it. Remember those?
Yes, ma'am.
Remember those, Patrick? Right. And as you said already, you remember the full stop. And so some of the other kind of end marks that we focus on will be the question sign and the exclamation sign. So when we look at when do we use these? We know the exclamation sign, of course. We use that to demonstrate our feelings. So, ha, there you are. Ah, it's eating my leg. And we use it for command, depending on how we plan to say it. Could be exclamatory. If we're shouting it, that is. We use exclamation mark to show emphasis, to show amusement. And the question mark, we use that to end a direct question, to end a tag, to express uncertainty in a series of questions. And full stops, of course, we use them to end a regular sentence, as we call declarative sentence. We use it after titles in American English. For example, Mr., Doctor, Professor. We use it also when we're thinking about abbreviation, right? And we also use it for very polite commands. So we're giving polite commands, we put a full stop there. Imperative expression, we call them. Probably crux of this conversation needs to have its information bent on the quotation marks. So we know that we use quotation mark to show direct spoken information, exactly words that have been exactly uttered by someone. We use the apostrophe to show that someone owns something, or we can use it too to show contraction. And contraction simply means when we want to shorten a word. Now, the parenthesis over the years, we have mistakenly named it brackets, but it's actually parenthesis. And this is used to really show set off important details, such as an afterthought or a personal comment. Now, the colon, we normally use it to introduce a list of items. We use it too in time, like 10 o'clock, we have 10, and then we have the colon and we have the OO, right? And we also use it when we're thinking about Bible verses. John chapter 1 verse, the colon there. 6. We also use the colon too to indicate that we are giving extended explanation. Right? So if you're looking over on the chart to the right where that you have colon versus semicolon, there you have some more extended information. One to introduce list, series, quotations, and explanations. And there are some nice examples there. So you might have to look out for some keyword, especially for listing, where you say 3 things or the following. These are. So you have to look at those keywords in order to drop in the colon there. We use it to separate independent clauses too, especially when the independent clauses seem to be contrasting each other. So they will not make it. The storm is too strong. All right. We use it to show emphasis. So E was there for one person, and we put his mother. All right. We also use it to separate units of time, and we spoke about that already, but the example is there. Sophie set her alarm clock at 6:30 a.m. All right. Now, we also have to think about the semicolon. Both of them seem to work contrasting each other, but they have overlapping roles, because the semicolon is also used to separate clauses. But when we think of the semicolon, it's used to join related sentences or used to separate items in a series that have commas. So when we think about going over to the right there, where you have the first specified role between items in a list or series when the items themselves contain commas. There we have it. There are 8 members on the team. 2 from China and Japan, so it's a long extended thing, not just list now. 3 from France and Spain, 2 from Brazil and Chile, and 1 from India, right? So notice the colon there. We visited Thailand, Vietnam, and Singapore. in the spring, Germany, France, and Italy in the summer, and South Africa in the fall. So we have the extended idea there. We also use the semicolon to separate independent clauses while still demonstrating a close relationship between them. So notice the contrast here. So when we use the semicolon for independent clauses, it must be showing two ideas that are opposite. But with this, when we use the semicolon now for independent clauses, it must be showing that the two ideas can work together. They are closely related. All right. So when the ideas are closely related, they came all the way home. Even so, they all knew they had to go back once more. But notice the contrast there over the other side when two now, with the colon and the independent clause, the ideas, they are opposite. They will not make it. The storm is too strong. Now the slash has often been confused with the dash, which is quite different. But the slash here indicates that there's a break when quoting a poem. It also is used to show or. So when we use the slash, we are saying that the word that we had before is the same as the other word after it. So it is or. So if you didn't want to use hyphen, you could have used slash. So we have the hyphen and slash separated by the hyphen, the word hyphen, separated by slash. All right. So it could be, it's reflecting that we are talking about a word that means the same thing as the other word on the other side. The hyphen is often used to divide compound words or to divide group of words, right? That's the main function. Now, comma, as we know, is quite regular, but the most important thing about a comma is that it indicates a pause, and it kind of set off a pause or separate items in a series. So if we were to look at these ideas here, and for the sake of the exam, you're going to be given a specific say we are given these ideas here, then you are expected to look at them and choose the answer that has the group of information there. So the item seems to be focusing on the quotation mark. The first one focuses on the quotation mark there, the open quotation mark. The second one focuses on the close quotation mark, and the third one seems to focus on the question mark. And of course, if you don't see any error, you're supposed to put D. So which one do you think is off in terms of misuse for the first idea? Which one do you think is out? A, B, or C? Patrick?
Yes, miss.
Which one do you think is out for the first item? How far do we have to travel? The mother asked her son. And remember, the focus is on the quotation mark. A, the quotation mark. B, the quotation mark. C, the question mark. Which one is incorrectly used? A, B, or C?
C, miss.
Awesome. Because right there, you should have had a full stop. Awesome. Now, the second one, the focus seems to be on the lettering. So we see the word leave, probably lettering and use of words. When we have that, the word leave, should it exit in a common letter? Is it correct there? Sunday, is it okay there? Should it have a capital letter? And C, Friday, is it okay there with a common letter? Which one you think is not correct?
B.
Whether in terms of lettering or sense. You said B?
B.
All right, let's see. So let's see if it is, the lettering is correct, because we would have to put the capital. Sunday is the name of a day in the week, and day in the week must always have a capital letter. So Sunday should have a capital S. So we will leave, that sounds sensible, on a Sunday. So the Sunday sounds sensible there as well. And return on a Friday. So the sentence is quite sensible. So more likely they're looking at lettering. So should we have a common letter for L and a common letter for Friday? Because the answer for B is quite correct. That answer that you gave for B is not an error. So we're looking at A now and C. So should we have A in common letter and C in common letter? Is all well with A and B, A and C, sorry?
No, Miss C if you go in a capital letter too.
That's correct. That's correct. And so the error for the second one would be C. Now, looking at the third item now, and again, they seem to be focusing on the punctuation. So again, they're saying Sue should be capitalized and have that identified. Do we need a semicolon at B? And should we end with a full stop at C? What do you say? Sue needs the following: scissors, papers, and markers. What is the error in punctuation that needs to be acknowledged here? Because there's an error. I missed that. So could you say it again?
B.
Correct. But remember, once you have the word following, the appropriate punctuation mark here should be a colon. Should be a colon. So you are quite correct. All right, so we're going down to the fourth item now. So what you're going to see here is that the focus seems to be on the apostrophe, right, in A and B, and on the capitalization in C. So which is wrong in its use? The first one seems to be a contraction, that's A. The second one seems to show ownership, that's B. And of course, C there has to do with capitalization. There's an error in the sentence. Which one do you think it is? There's Sam's pen. He left it here on Thursday. Which one you say that is the error here in the fourth item?
B.
You are correct. Because whenever we're talking about one person, you see, we need to ensure that the apostrophe goes before the S. When we're talking about one person owning something. But the only case that this differs is if the word that we're using ends with a S. But even so, it is supposed to be the S apostrophe, and then we have S after that. But some books might just leave the apostrophe on the outside, and that is acceptable. Now, look at the last item here, and the focus for seem to be on the capital doubler, which is where A is under, the contraction, which is where B is under, the use of the final quotation mark, which is where C is under. And there's an error in that sentence. So where would you place the error in punctuation there for the final item? Why didn't you complete the task on time? She asked. Which of those punctuation symbols seem to be incorrectly inserted?
C.
Correct. Remember, the final quotation mark should go on the outside of the end mark. Thanks so much, Patrick. You did a grand job. And there are the answers there identified. Now, for the sake of the exam, you see, Patrick, what is going to happen is that we might have all three items together. So say you had the first three items, then the answer that you would have to choose would be CCB. Understand?
Okay, miss.
Right. And they might say they give you the last two items on a slide like this. Then the answer that you'd have to choose is BC. Get that? The one that has BC. You understand that one, Patrick?
Yes, miss.
Right. So they are going to be pulled together so that you have to look at it more closely and do what you need to get done. All right. So over the past couple of months, we have been focusing on some CSEC terminologies. And one of the terms for paper one is usage one. And usage one will be pretty much like what we just did a while ago, where we have the ABC information there, but the focus really is on you looking at the item to see if the issue is a verb tense, a part of speech, a subject-verb agreement, an issue with spelling, an issue with antecedent, that is where you have the misuse of the pronouns, or it's something to do with comparison modifiers. All right, so that's what you have to do there. So let's do a quick redo of what this actually means. So when we think about comparative modifiers, we have to think about how we compare one thing with another. We use the superlative modifiers, then that means like the est, or the those modifiers, comparative modifiers, the er, or just leave it neutral, right? So that would distinguish, where we place what where. So when we're talking about one, as opposed to when we're talking about more than one, as opposed to when we're talking about just two. And then, of course, spelling errors is just pretty much trying to ensure that the words that you're looking at have the correct lettering to associate or represent that idea. Now we think about the subject-verb agreement, which we have been looking at so thoroughly. We have to think of the most important rule, which is that the singular subject the singular verb must accompany singular subject, and the plural verbs must accompany plural subject. And that is where we'll find the subject-verb agreement being correct. Now, we know about there are 8 traditional part of speech now, which has been grouped now to be non-traditional, to water down to about 4. But when we think about the regular 8 part of speech, we're thinking about verbs, noun, pronouns, adjectives, interjection, preposition, conjunctions, pronouns. All right? So you have to know them and know when to use each of them. That taken away back in primary school there. Now, verb tense. Sometimes the error might be a verb tense, so it should have been past tense, but it is actually a present tense. It should have been a future, or it should have been a perfect tense, or it should have been a continuous tense. So I hope that you remember those from primary school, right? So we need to be able to spot those kind of errors and errors that are often used in everyday. And of course, antecedent is a word to which a latter pronoun refers. So when the pronoun does not agree in number, then there's going to be an error in terms of the antecedent. I am hoping that we're not going to be able to watch this, but I am hoping that when you go on the slide, you're able to look at this for yourself, because this is a good CSEC thing that you need to watch that can give you some more information whereas we think about usage one items. Let's look at these items here. Let's quickly walk through. We have just 7 minutes and I want to get into the usage 2. Notice the first item. The shop assistance was very helpful and I was able to buy what I wanted. Which one of the underlined words is incorrect? First, second, third, or fourth? What says you? The shop assistance was very helpful and I was able to buy what I wanted. What sound off?
Wanted.
Really? Everything else seems fine to you? Would we say shop assistance or shop assistant? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Would we say, yes, what I'm talking about. So you have to think carefully before you jump to make an analysis. So right there, we know that the part of speech of the information is incorrect. We know part of speech is incorrect. So we have to think about assistant here. We know the verb should be past tense, Patrick. You know why? Because in the sentence, we have the clue was that is not underlined. So we know that it should be in past tense. So wanted is quite fine. Look at number 2. We have to do it ourselves as there are not enough workers to finish it on time. What do you think? Which one is off?
Ourself.
Which one is it? Ourself. Jamaican people love to say ourselves, but the idea should be ourselves. Ourselves. All right, number 3. Amy sits besides me in class while Sita is behind me. What is wrong with that? Number 3. Amy sits besides me in class while yes, besides is definitely off. Number 4. He was quite amusing when he heard what had happened. What's wrong with that? Something is definitely wrong with that. Which one? He was quite amusing when he heard what had happened.
Amusing.
Yes, it should be amused.
He said
there was signs of neglect showing that no one was living there. What's wrong with that?
Showing.
You think so? Would you say there was signs or there were signs?
Yeah, you know, say was, miss.
Yes, it's a was. It is a was. It is a was that is off. All right, just quickly going over here. Want to jump to the thing because this is important. That's why I'm jumping over here. We normally miss this one, number 6. To who did you pass the message I gave you? What do you think?
Who?
Yes, you always say to whom. And number 8, where we have the contestant hitted the target with great accuracy. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that one? Would we say what we say? The contestant hitted the target with great accuracy. What is wrong with that?
Accuracy. No.
What sounds off to you? Huh?
Paid.
No, it's actually hitted. Hitted. What present tense hit, past tense hit. All right, so there we have the answers on the slide. So that could give you some idea as to how we go. CXC loves to use item number 10. You say, Patrick, the one that we normally say in Jamaica. If I knew it was going to rain like this, I would off stay at home. They love to use this one, All these are CSEC collected items, by the way. So it should have been would have stayed at home. I would have stayed at home. But they love to use that one. Now, in usage 2, we just did this 2 months ago, I think, or 1 month ago. The focus is on identifying the ideas for repetition, mix or misuse metaphor, cliche, or errors in grammar. And of course, I tell you A, B, C, or D. There's a little link here that you're asked to go to. This could give you some videos so that you can see how to progress. And it's kind of like an interactive game. So I'm hoping that you are able to go onto the Google Classroom platform and play that for self. And 2, when you're able to go into the slide that is also on the platform, I'm hoping that you can go back to slide 16 and watch the recording that is here. You just need to forward it 30 minutes and it gets you right into usage 2. You learn a whole heap. We're not able to do that now because time is against us. And I have another class. So I'm jumping into the actual activity. So they might give you this kind of instruction where they say circle the option A, B, or C, or D that best describes each of the sentence. All right. So they might say put A. So A would be if the sentence is acceptable as it stands. Because they might switch it, They normally switch A with D. Right? So you have to read the instruction carefully. So if the sentence is okay, we're asked to put A. If the sentence uses cliches or metaphors, we are asked to insert B. If the sentence is incorrect grammatically, then we're asked to insert C. And if the sentence is too wordy or contains redundancies or repetition, we are asked to use D. I'm not able to go through the items with you because we have just 1 minute left. I'm just going to jump into the answer. So if you're you're looking at it carefully, you see here where it says, if I were the captain of the Asian cricket team, I will attack the batsman with fast bowlers immediately after the luncheon interval. This will definitely be C, because we see where we're not seeing the sentence being consistent. You can't say if I were, which is past tense, and then introduce a future. You'd have to say, I would have attacked. So it has to be past future if you're going to use that. Then for number 2, to attract more business, the store offered free gifts at no expense to the customer. We know that that is redundancy, because we know that gifts are usually free. And if it's free, that means it has no expense attached. And for number 3 now, where it says the new disciplinary measures have affected a vast improvement of the behavior, as have affected a fast improvement on the behavior of students. We know that this is an error, because it should have actually been affected instead of affected. And again, when we look at 4, we know that this is definitely redundancy, repetition, because in my opinion, it's the same thing as I think that. Number 5 is okay. And number 6 now, we know that that one is definitely cliches. Remember those expressions? Hammer the nail? Those terms that we don't normally talk in regular conversation, leafy minds. Once you see that, you know that you have to put your be there. So that's pretty much it. And you're expected now to get the task that is on the Google platform completed by about 1 o'clock today. So there you have it. Let me just show the tab here. There you have it. So if you go back to the online platform, the Google Classroom platform, this would be the slide that we just did a while ago. You can go through. Remember to watch the videos and to try play to get more information. And then you're going to play the Nearpod game that is here. And you're asked as well to complete the activity now that is in the Google form here. So just click on it. It should open up for you. And then you are able to see the activity that is assigned there. So that's pretty much it. And I've gone over into our time. So ensure that you get this task done for self, right? And there you have it. So enjoy. Make sure you watch the recording before you jump into doing the activity. Watch the Nearpod recording that gives some more explanation. Thank you so much for joining, and have a grand day. You may go, Patrick, to your next class.